Have you ever heard of a man who might have lived for more than a century, yet never aged a single day? A man whose existence is so mysterious that historians still can't decide whether he was a real person, a legend, a secret master alchemist, or something far stranger. Tonight, we enter the unsettling, cryptic world of Salomon Trismosin, the alleged discoverer of the Philosopher's Stone, mentor to Paracelsus, and author of one of the most disturbing alchemical manuscripts ever created. And the deeper you go into his story, the more one question begins to haunt you. Was Trismosin a genius scientist ahead of his time, or did he actually discover a secret that allowed him to transcend death itself? The first mystery is simple. Who was Salomon Trismosin? No one knows. Not a single birth record, no childhood history, no identifiable family. It is as if he appeared suddenly in the late 1400s, already an adult, already knowledgeable, already traveling from town to town, performing alchemical experiments people couldn't explain. Some claimed he came from Austria, others Germany. Others insisted he wasn't from any country they knew. He spoke multiple languages, seemed familiar with rare manuscripts, and possessed knowledge only scholars inside royal courts were supposed to know. How he learned all this, nobody could say. But the sightings of Trismosin are where things get truly strange. Witnesses described him as a quiet, calm man with sharp, alert eyes that seemed far older than his face. And year after year, decade after decade, those who met him swore he never changed. One miner saw him in 1470 and again in 1505 and claimed he looked absolutely identical. A traveling merchant saw him in Venice in 1490, then again in Germany nearly 40 years later, and swore the man had no difference except his clothing. In an age when people barely lived past their 40s, tales of a man who didn't age spread like wildfire. Then another layer of mystery appears, his experiments. According to early writings, Trismosin performed demonstrations that bordered on impossible. He could heat metals in strange solutions and pull out gold flakes that did not exist before. He crushed herbs, mixed them with red or green elixirs, and revived dying plants in minutes. Several healers claimed they saw him touch infected wounds and watch them close instantly. Was it chemistry, trickery, or something else? But the real turning point came with the arrival of a young, ambitious student, Paracelsus, one of Europe's most rebellious medical pioneers. Paracelsus openly declared that Trismosin was his teacher, the man who showed him secrets of nature he could not even describe. He said Trismosin possessed an elixir that kept him youthful and gave him insight beyond mortal mind. The relationship between them remains one of the most hidden chapters in alchemical history. Whatever Trismosin taught Paracelsus changed him forever. If Trismosin truly had the Philosopher's Stone, or even partial knowledge of it, this could explain everything: the longevity, the strange healing powers, the ability to transmute metals. But if that's true, where did he get it? Who taught him? Or did he uncover something entirely on his own? Then comes Splendor Solis, the manuscript that made Trismosin infamous. This book is not just a text, it is a psychological labyrinth. The images inside are surreal and deeply unsettling. Kings melting into black sludge, dead bodies floating in golden pools, dragons eating themselves, suns that shine darkness instead of light, alchemical symbols arranged like puzzles. Each painting looks like it hides a secret recipe, a coded message that only an initiated student could interpret. Scholars have spent centuries decoding it, yet no one agrees on its true meaning. Some believe Splendor Solis is a symbolic guide to spiritual enlightenment. Some say it is a step-by-step manual for creating the Philosopher's Stone. Others think it is a trap, a book designed to mislead the unworthy, confusing them until they lose their minds. But the scariest theory: some researchers believe the book was not created to teach, but to select. Only those who could interpret the symbols correctly, through intuition, not logic, were ready to meet the inner circle of hidden alchemists. In other words, it was a test, and Trismosin was the gatekeeper. Throughout his life, he appeared in courts, monasteries, hidden laboratories, libraries, and even the houses of noble families. Every time he hinted at deeper knowledge, but never stayed long. Rumors grew that he belonged to a secret brotherhood of eternal adepts, a group dedicated to guarding dangerous knowledge that humans were not ready for. Some claimed he was one of only a handful of people who possessed the true Philosopher's Stone. Others whispered he was centuries old, maybe older. And then he vanished. No death record, no brave, no final manuscript, no farewell message. He simply disappeared from history. But the most chilling account came decades later. A traveler wrote that he met a man in a mountain village who called himself Salomon Trismosin. The traveler recognized the name from Splendor Solis and questioned him. The man smiled and said, "Time changes all things, except those who master it." When asked how old he was, the man reportedly replied, "Older than your generation could understand." And before the traveler could ask another question, the mysterious figure walked into the forest and was never seen again. So who was he? A genius scientist? An illusionist? A member of an occult society? Or an immortal alchemist who truly discovered the secret of eternal life? Everything about Trismosin points to something impossible. A man without a past, a life without aging, a book without a clear meaning, a disappearance without an explanation. And maybe that's why his story still haunts historians, occultists, and researchers today. Because deep down, part of us wonders, what if at least some of it is true? What if one man really did touch the boundary between life and death and stepped through? If Salomon Trismosin truly found the Philosopher's Stone, then he didn't just escape death, he escaped history. And maybe, just maybe, he's still out there.
Thank you for staying with us through this mystery. If you want more mysteries, like, subscribe, and stay with us.